Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror.
Oh, another one just hit. Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on the shot.
Oh my.
Something else has
You know what? We just saw a plane circling the building.
And it was just the planes crashing into the buildings over and over again.
I was 12 at the time.
I was in 3rd grade.
I was 7 years old.
I was 6.
I was 7, about to turn 8.
I was 15.
I was 7 years old when 9/11 happened.
What I remember is it's the first day that I got to take my braces off.
The first thing I remember is that I really screwed up my subtraction test.
My mom was dropping me off at our elementary school, and I remember hearing on the car's radio just like people screaming and like weird stuff.
My dad was overseas at the time on a business trip, and since he was supposed to fly back the 11th.
My mom signed me out of school early, and I was really excited. I didn't know what was going on, and then we sat down in the living room and watched it on TV, and I was still kind of confused. I didn't really realize the gravity of what was going on.
She had not addressed me in the normal way. She was kind of like, Paul, your parents are here, and they're here to pick you up. I was like, all right.
But more than anything else, I remember the ash that was falling for days afterwards.
And it wasn't until after school that I remembered the smoke.
Even there, like 2 blocks away, all the windows and all the buildings were blown out. The most startling thing by far was the fact that you were in New York City and you could hear a pin drop. No one said a word.
My dad called her in the morning when it happened and was saying, I'm in the towers, there's an attack, and I don't know how I'm going to get home, I'm going to try.
What I can remember was that my dad was active duty Navy at that time, so whenever I came home, he wasn't home. It turned out he had to pull a 48-hour shift with the superior officers at Norfolk Naval Base. And then a couple months later, he was deployed over to the oceans of Iraq.
One of my neighbors actually told me what happened, and she said it like it was a big secret and we weren't supposed to talk about it because it was so sad.
They closed the TV cabinet. We sat down at the kitchen table. My dad tried to explain it to me. To be completely honest, I don't remember a word that he said.
My mom's side of the family they're just about a couple hours away from Shanksville. So my mom was really scared when it happened because the planes went down there and she couldn't get in touch with my grandma.
And then my dad went into the city the next day because he's a police officer, so he was like doing security detail. So I just remember like him being gone and not understanding what was going on because like I was too young to comprehend it.
And my dad got a phone call from his sister because my aunt works for the Defense Department, and she was in the Pentagon in the west side of the building when the planes hit.
I thought it was like debris falling from the building, and I was just sitting there like shocked and like started crying once I realized that it was people choosing to kill themselves the way they wanted to. He came back home and was just like, yeah, I had some friends who were like working in like the towers, and some of them like I haven't heard back from.
Everybody crying, and my neighbor lost her son.
This was like right before they shut down all types of cell phone and any kind of anything in and out of the city. So he called and was just like, I just want to say that I love you guys, and I don't know if I'm gonna go. Sorry. He just called and the phone disconnected. So I just waited. And eventually he was able to call us again. And he said that he was helping people get out.